5 minutes.
Very good morning. I am Shilpa and I welcome you all to the CIET NCERT live phone-in program. This session is going to be the second session on Nelson Mandela Long Walk to Freedom, a lesson from class 10th English textbook First Flight. And with us we have Professor R. Meghanathan, Professor of English Language from the Department of Education and Languages in NCERT. I welcome you, Professor Meghanathan.
So, good morning. Welcome. I also welcome all the learners. We will do the second part of Nelson Mandela's autobiographical extract, Long Walk to Freedom.
Okay.
Today we will see, again revisit the text and do some language activities, that is grammar activities.
Okay. And to the viewers, if you come across any questions related to our today's topic of discussion, then you can dial in to our toll-free numbers. Numbers are 1800111265 and 1800112199. You can also send your questions on our official email ID ciet.kishoremanch@gmail.com. Moreover, you can comment your questions during our YouTube live streaming, and our official YouTube channel is NCERT Official. So, Professor Meghanathan, you said that you already had one session on the same topic, Nelson Mandela Long Walk of Freedom, to Freedom.
Yeah.
So, first of all, if you could just recapitulate what you taught in the previous session.
Fine. Thank you for that, Shilpa. We have introduced to the learners of class 10 the idea of how that racism emerged in the world, particularly Europe, then later in USA, then the implications, repercussions of the aftermath of racism.
Okay.
We started with the live example of current example of George Floyd, who was really recently assaulted and ultimately he died, and that led to the Black Lives Matter. So in order to connect what's happening around us, then we took back the learners to 2-3 centuries ago, how slave trade was immense and how the people of Africa suffered a lot. Then situating it with South Africa, how Nelson Mandela fought, and he spent 27 years in jail.
Right.
He was imprisoned. It's not a joke. Like many of our Indian leaders like Mahatma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Patel. So that was the kind of what is liberty. Nelson Mandela in that write-up in his book said how liberty is important for a person, a human, to live, basically. That's what. So we also showed some of the clips of Nelson Mandela,
speech.
Then Rosa Parks, who liberated the equality in the bus, then Martin Luther King's this famous speech, I Have a Dream. So that was to set ground to make learners understand, because they also study this in their social science textbooks.
Okay.
So that will be nice to interrelate and connect themselves. So today we will take into the what actually Nelson Mandela does in terms of language, how he uses language. One, another is some grammar items, very simple. So I hope that last time I was overwhelmed by the responses of learners. So more than 5,000 learners have watched, and some of the queries could not be answered. My apologies for that. I request you to send the mail so that we can reply.
Okay.
Okay.
So, sir, I'll take up one question. This question we have received on email.
Great.
Related to your previous session. The question has been asked by Miss Sunita, and she is asking that, sir, you talked about he used a balancing of language. What exactly is that mean?
Fine, very good question. This is what learners should learn in order to become better speakers and writers. We still remember, revere the midnight speech of Jawaharlal Nehru. So he uses the difference between being a non-free person, being a colonized person, oppressed person, and freedom. He says that at the stroke of midnight, India comes into being. So is that it doesn't mean that India was not living. The India of 1947 August 15th night made a change. So the same way Nelson Mandela uses, he said, let me quote 2-3 examples. It is not that the oppressed be liberated, it is that the oppressed to be liberated. See, we feel that some people are oppressed, suppressed, so they have to be liberated. But he says more than the people who were enslaved, the person who oppresses, who exercises powers to be liberated.
Right.
See, there are two extreme things, he balances it. So in the best example of Indian, the English language use is, he is not only an administrator but also an academic. So, so this balances. So someone who is a great administrator may not have time to read and write. He says Jawaharlal Nehru did it, Mahatma Gandhi did it. So they were thinkers also. They were not only politicians but also thinkers. So that's what. So he also says people who are made to hate can be taught to love.
Okay.
Someone who hates, we believe that we cannot. That's what most of the movies, including Indian cinema, makes one person a villain, another person a hero.
Yes.
There is no reconciliation. The reconciliation has to come. We must thank Sunita. Sunita for raising this question. So let learners, when you write, instead of writing, when you write a good writer, creative writing, write in such a way that it captures the attention of people. He says people who are made to hate can be taught to love. So they have been made to hate the others. Now we can teach them how to love. So this is what balancing act. So put two extreme ideas, use such phrases so that it becomes effective.
In one sentence?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now let's, any other thing?
No.
So we will move on to learners. First of all, let's understand that relating to that question, what kind of person is Nelson Mandela? Let's listen to very popular video which was telecast on BBC, many CNN. So let's watch that. Then we will move on to his life a bit. Come.
Okay.
How does a man spend 27 years in prison, put there by an oppressor, and come out of that experience with not a heart of stone, not a cold heart, but a heart that is willing to forgive and embrace? How is there no bitterness?
Well, I hated oppression. And when I think about the past, the type of things they did, I feel angry. You have...
Yes. How does a man spend 27 years in prison, put there by an oppressor, and come out of that experience with not a heart of stone, not a cold heart, but a heart that is willing to forgive and embrace? How is there no bitterness?
Well, I hated oppression. And when I think about the past, the type of things they did, I feel angry. You have a limited time to stay on earth. You must try and use that period for the purpose of transforming your country into what you desire it to be. And therefore, you had to reject all negative features in your own soul, in your blood system, and focus your attention on the positive things. I wanted to be known as Mandela, a man with weaknesses, especially because I knew it was not the contribution of an individual which would bring about liberation. and the peaceful transformation of the country. And my first task when I came out was to destroy that myth that I was something other than an ordinary human being.
I had said that you're one of the most humble person I'd ever met. I will tell you that when Mr. Mandela arrived today, he said to the producer, met with him in the room, and he said, "What is the subject of today's show?" And she said, "Nelson Mandela, you are the subject of today's show." He goes, "Oh, all right." You are not modest, but a very humble man. I wanted to ask, because I think that is the characteristic that stands out for you above all of them, that you are a peacemaker inside yourself. And how do we begin, those of us who aren't leading countries but are just leading our own lives, leading our families, come to a sense of truth and reconciliation with ourselves to be a peacemaker? How do you do that?
The first thing is to be honest with yourself. You can never have an impact on society if you have not changed yourself. And one of the most important weapons in changing yourself is to recognize that peace. People everywhere in the world want peace. But humility is one of the most important qualities which you must have. Because if you are humble, if you make people realize that you are no threat to them, then people will embrace you.
Learners, Shilpa, that was a great, very effective,
Yes.
powerful message. He says that be humble, be honest, be truthful to yourself. Let me connect with what happened yesterday between India and China. Last week, we were almost in tensions. So we were thinking that a war might break out.
Yes.
Today, we are peacemaking. So how it happened? We negotiated with them. That's what
Okay.
Nelson Mandela says. You negotiate with yourself, negotiate with the neighbor. And Gandhiji said, if you want peace, talk to your enemy, not to your friends.
Yes.
So we need to negotiate with the people with whom we have problems. So learners, this is a time for us to introspect. We have witnessed some of the heartbreaking and very bad suicides even in Bollywood. So because they are unable to negotiate with themselves, so they were overpowered, overwhelmed with the problems. Learners, this is very, very, very pressing times. So we should talk to ourselves first, introspect, then talk to people. So talk to people who you feel that are giving you trouble. So then come out of the fear. That's what. So learners, that's what the humility and being humble is not a qualification, is an essential thing. That's what Nelson Mandela says. So let us take the learners to the life of Nelson Mandela.
Okay.
We didn't tell them the last time. So let me show it from this paper here, camera. Then learners, you will see how this humble man who lost his parents at the age of 12 or something became the world leader, an apostle of peace. Okay, could you read out for the learners?
Nelson Mandela was born July 18, 1918 in Transkei, Africa. When he was born, his name was, so you have to spell that.
Okay, Rohelela Mandela.
Okay. His birth name means to pull a branch of a tree and troublemaker.
Okay.
Okay. And the third is, he was given the name Nelson in school when he was 7 years old.
Fine, I'll read. His father had 4 wives. That was a practice in those days in Africa. Mandela is the youngest son of all the sons that his father had. In fact, he was the only surviving child. Even today, the infant mortality in Africa is very low. So children die of many things, including polio, which was abolished in many parts of the world, most part of the world long ago. So that shows the apt poverty of Africa. He grew up in a rural area and he engaged in activities such as herding of animals. As an youngster, he attended a boarding school. His father passed away when Nelson Mandela was 12 years old. Afterwards, a wealthy relatives had custody of him. He attended Fort Hare Missionary College, However, he was expelled for organizing strike against the white rule, because there were separate places for white children, white students and black students. He met Oliver Tambo, who became famous along with him as number 2 in the struggle, a great friend of his at the school, at the college. He was working towards a BA degree, that's bachelor's. When he was in college, he studied law at the University of Witwatersrand. In 1942, he joined the African National Congress, which was actually formed to fight through armed struggle, and he became the deputy president of African National Congress later. He was a lawyer in addition to an activist and politician.
Right.
He was sentenced to life imprisonment for 27 years because of organizing some demonstration. So he was imprisoned on Robben Island and then in 2 other South African prisons, and that was very hot times. He was given very small room to live there, the toilet, everything.
To torture him?
Torture him. That was the colonial rule, and it was apartheid, a policy of discrimination. It won't be very easy. During his time in prison, he was able to have secret talks with the then President de Klerk, the President of South Africa. Due to these talks, he was able to be freed. While he was in prison, he was told that if he stopped his act of violence, he would be allowed to go free. I mean, violence to the rulers, but he was doing
in favor of the people who were being oppressed.
He did not agree that provision. Mandela was in prison for 27 years. Learners believe 27 years is not an easy thing.
Yes.
3 months we are in lockdown, we feel how difficult with our own freedom. In 1968, both his mother and son passed away. However, he was not permitted to go. The same thing happened to Jawaharlal Nehru when his wife passed away. He was not allowed to go, and Sardar Patel could not attend some of the funerals of his own family. That's what the colonialism does to people. 1993, he shared the Nobel Prize with the white president of South Africa. He received this Nobel Prize for getting rid of apartheid from Africa, that is racial discrimination. Then in 1994, he became the first black president of South Africa by a democratically elected election system. Once he finished his presidency, he stepped down and to work for the people and the AIDS. And in fact, one of his sons died of AIDS. He has honorary degrees from more than 50 universities. 50 universities accorded him Doctor of Philosophy. And it's very interesting to know he was a boxer, so a pugilist. So the man who loved peace was this one. Today also some of the president, I think Russian president is a pugilist. In 2004, at the age of 85, he announced that he would retire from public domain because he became very feeble. He passed away at home on 5th December 2013 at the age of 95. So he remains like Mahatma Gandhi. He remains an apostle of peace, and that peace comes that loving your own, even your enemies. So that's what the life of learners. This is we narrated in order to make you go back and read Nelson Mandela and such lives like Nelson Mandela or Yasser Arafat or Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, many such people. Come on, let's now do some language activities. That is, learners, you must have noticed in your lesson the word, the verb is used as noun with modification. So here is an example. Learners, this is class 6 activity. So anyhow, I expect you to do it because we will understand how a verb is converted into a noun. So let's look at it. The paper, Shilpa, for you also some task. Thank you for participating. So the word rebel, Nelson Mandela rebelled against the suppressive regime. So how that is converted into noun as rebellion.
Okay.
There was a rebellion in South Africa. So constitute, the committee was constituted, the government constitutes a committee, the constitution of the committee consisted of kinds. So
okay.
Now the same way you have to say construct what will be the noun.
Okay.
What will be the
And
noun?
to the viewers, I won't complete this task alone. You have to help me. You have to participate with me. Okay. So, as you taught us, construction. The noun would be construction.
Very good, very good.
Verb is construct.
Construct, construction. Then violate.
Okay.
Violate.
Ridhima, she is replying it's violation.
Violation. Very good. Thank you, thank you. Violation. Then demolish.
Demolition.
Demolition. Yes. Very simple. See, note the change in the spelling. Then educate. Everybody knows.
Okay, there is one more. Transact.
Okay. Transact.
Transaction.
Transaction. Learners, I am not using everything in sentences because we will run out of time. Educate.
Okay, so Kavita, Suhani, demolition, they are replying. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Educate, education, they are replying. Sushanta.
Yeah.
Yes.
Invest. Now,
Okay.
not simply TION. Come on, let's get it.
Okay.
Invest.
Investment.
Investment. Yeah, we know that. So investment.
Okay, if you are replying invention.
No, learners, language is, you know that English language is funny. Somebody said, Amitabh Bachchan said, I think. So, but TION, see, each verb takes a different term because language is arbitrary, natural. So, investment, allot.
Okay, I'll tell you.
Oh, yes.
Because one viewer has replied it's allotment.
Oh, great.
Mahesh Reddy, thank you. Suhani, thank you. Yes.
Then oppress.
Okay, we have been reading this word in the chapter.
Okay.
So it's oppression.
Okay, oppression. I may commit a spelling mistake. Learners, note down and tell me. Movement. Move.
Oh,
sorry. Okay, movement. Movement. Fine. Learners,
Yes.
movement. Then.
Installation.
Okay. I am going to put you installations. Okay, I agree with that. But
Installment.
installment also. So learners.
So both.
Yes.
Okay.
Learners, noted this. The same word become this one. Install. But you say that installments. Oh no, installment is a separate verb. Here he installed something. Then
Okay.
installation of something. So,
Okay,
but
in that
installment
manner.
is also a word. Invite.
Okay, I'll tell you because viewers are replying. Amisha, invitation. Divya, invitation.
Great. Thanks to Amisha and
Divya.
this one. Then,
Yes.
okay. Now, demolish we have done. Now look at the word donate.
Okay, donate, it's donation.
Donation. Then anticipate.
Anticipate. Anticipation.
Okay. Anticipation. Fine. Okay. Govern. GOVERN and this given government. Then achieve.
Achievement.
Okay. The words are known to you learners, but how we can use them as verb, as noun, we have to see. Thank you very much for your participation. Now, look at some of the usages the Nelson Mandela uses in the book. We can see it in on the paper. Let me ask you to read out, Shilpa.
Okay.
Read the following sentence from the lesson.
Read the following sentence from the lesson. The decades of oppression and brutality produces the Oliver Tambo's, the Walter Sissulus. Am I pronouncing it fine?
Yeah.
Sissulus, is that a fill in the blank?
No.
Sissulus of our time.
Of our time. Look at the learners, Shilpa. The decades of oppression and brutality produces the Oliver Tambo's, the Walter Sissulus of our time. I would not say the Silfa.
Right.
Well, that's a proper name, but Nelson Mandela is using. So he is using figuratively. For example, let's say that Nelson Mandela was the Gandhi of South Africa, was the
right.
Gandhi. So we are using sometimes we say that he is the Buddha of the current times. He is the Swami Vivekananda of current time. He is the Jawaharlal Nehru of today's politics. So we say, we use the to figuratively make a person, so he is or she is like him. So Oliver Tambo and Walter Sisulu were compatriots, co-warriors, what's that, freedom fighters of Nelson Mandela.
Okay.
So he says the decades of oppression and brutality produced. So they were not simply, they simply did not come out to become crusaders, fight people of freedom. The oppression has made them.
Right.
So the Sisulus, the Oliver Tambos refers to hundreds of people. So let us see, and we also use, I am going to ask you learners and Shilpa,
Okay.
please use the Gandhi example I have given. Nelson Mandela was the Gandhi of Africa. So he fought for peace through peaceful means.
Okay.
Now I am going to ask you learners to use the Nehru,
Okay.
the Buddha, the Joan of Arc. Most of us, all of us must know Joan of Arc was a teenage girl who
Okay.
fought against the British in the probably 19th century, 18th century end from France. So she was colonized, means she was made a saint. So we call it sometimes Mrs. Indira Gandhi was known as the Joan of Arc of India.
Okay.
And even Benazir Bhutto was once called the Joan of Arc of Pakistan.
Okay.
So learners, let us use this. Can you try some of this?
Yes, Meera has replied that for the Nehru, the Nehru is one of the India's great politician.
There's a problem with what she has said, not the Nehru. So she said Nehru, Jawaharlal Nehru and Nehru, that's a proper name. Here we are using figuratively. Let's take one leader today or later leaders, someone, any leader is the Nehru of India.
Okay.
So there are people who are writing. I might say to some extent Shashi Tharoor writes well. So Shashi Tharoor is the Nehru of writing. So I would not say that he was a prime minister. He was a minister. Of course, Shashi Tharoor also writes very well. So there are some writers, many writers of that nature. So when you say the Nehru, you are giving the qualities of the person.
Okay.
Say when you say the Nehru is one of the greatest leaders, there's a problem there. Its sentence is semantically wrong. So we won't put the in front of before proper name. I will not say the Meghanathan. If I want to say that he is the Meghanathan of this one. So Nehru was the greatest leader then. Okay, we have to figuratively use it. Let me give an example. So and so is the Nehru of current times.
Okay.
Then that means the same qualities of the leader. The Buddha. Find out any peacemaking leader. I will give
There's
you.
a lot.
This one, Dalai Lama.
Yes.
Use it.
Okay. So the Buddha.
No, Dalai Lama.
Okay. The Dalai Lama.
Because it's a title there.
Okay.
The Dalai Lama is the Buddha of our current times.
country.
Because he also preaches peace. And
Okay.
he also is willing to negotiate with the contesting parties.
Okay.
So the Joan of Arc. I am going to say Shilpa is the Joan of Arc of NCERT. Okay, let us say. All right. So
Okay.
you work very hard. Okay. Now the Amitabh Bachchan.
The Amitabh Bachchan, he's
Yeah.
famous and he's
No, who is the Amitabh Bachchan of this one? For example, suppose you want to say today's some actor. Let's say, let's take this young man who passed away, unfortunately. What's it?
late Sushant Singh Rajput.
Late Sushant Rajput was the Amitabh Bachchan of our current times. I don't know. I have not watched many of his movies. Children should not get annoyed because he is altogether a different actor. And I watched that. What's that? Dhoni movie. Okay. Now, the is also used before the family names. For example, let's look at the example. We have invited the Rajans and the Rahul Singhs to our sister's birthday. What does it mean?
We have invited the Rajans and the Rahul Singhs to our sister's birthday. That means the whole family?
Yes.
Okay.
So when we refer to, when we write invitation, sometimes sometimes we write Shilpa and family.
Yes.
Then say the Shilpas, means
Shilpas,
us,
yes.
everybody.
Right.
So learners, before proper name, the can also be used for referring to the family. So we say
Because that's a particular family?
family.
Okay.
So you must understand Indian politics. We say the Gandhi family, the Gandhis,
Yes.
the Nehrus, the Patels. So the Shash, something like that. So make at least 2 sentences using the before proper names, your own family, So the Sharmas, the Rahul Singh,
Yes.
the Singh. So you have to put it in plural to refer to the family.
Okay.
The Amitabh Bachchans, the Shahrukh Khans, whatever. Film stars are more popular, so I am taking only male actors so that learners will know that. Okay. Now, Shilpa,
Yes.
we will stop it for a while, learners, for you. We will play another video of Nelson Mandela. This man, this statesman, this leader needs to be understood very well by this younger generation for reasons we need to understand why peace is important. Peace is not a luxury, peace is essential. We know that how Afghanistan suffered, how Iraq suffered, then how Yemen is currently suffering, and many parts of the world are still fighting to get freedom. So Nelson Mandela, the Gandhi, the Mandelas are required for that. So to undertake peaceful means to achieve freedom. So another video of a minute on Nelson Mandela. Come on.
Nelson Mandela inspired people from all walks of life from all over the world. Here are some of his words of wisdom.
I stand here before you not as a prophet, but as a humble servant of you, the people. Your tireless and heroic sacrifices have made it possible for me to be here today. We are going forward. The march towards freedom and justice is irreversible. I have fought very firmly against white domination. I have fought very firmly against black domination. I cherish the ideal of a new South Africa where all South Africans are equal. Ordinary South Africans are determined that the past be known, the better to ensure that it is not repeated. They seek this not out of vengeance, but so that we can move into the future together. After nearly 90 years of life, it is time for new heads to lift the burdens. It is in your hands now.
Thank you, learners. This is what Nelson Mandela is. He says each and every one, that's what John Ruskin said centuries ago, which Gandhiji adopted, unto the last.
Okay.
The last of the last person should enjoy freedom. The last of the last person should have right to live, right to food, right to education, right to health. That's what, learners, this also. So you may wonder how I and you and the learners can do. We should actually reduce, demolish hate and bad ill feeling about anyone. It's not easy. Then peace is fostered. The learners, the important objective of one of the objectives of this lesson is to foster peace. Why we need peace?
Yes.
So there's at last one activity I'm going to give it to the learners that will be slightly interesting. So we'll come to that later. Now you watched another thing, how it's important to be humble and wait for people to respond to you. And today, learners, you know that no one wants to listen to anyone, and there are lots of conflicts and unnecessary conflicts. How we can overcome? Here is Nelson Mandela to tell us. So Shilpa, in this lesson there is also Mandela is also using some idiomatic expressions.
Okay.
So someone asked how balancing. Here also Nelson Mandela uses. Let's look at the paper here. We will understand. He is using an important phrase in idiom. I was not unmindful of the fact that I was not free. Come on, look at the paper here from the camera.
Yes.
So you can see I was not unmindful of the fact that I was not free. Look at that, he is using, why he said I was mindful of the fact, he must have used.
Yes.
Why he was using not and double negatives make it positive in mathematics.
Oh yes.
But here you see I was not unmindful. So that means I was mindful of the fact. So this I was not unmindful of the fact. Look at it, this underlined phrase is an idiomatic expression. So what is an idiom? Let me give an example. We said the Mandelas, the Gandhis we use, that is also figurative use. We say that generally children say that he kicked the bucket, we know that. What does it mean? He passed away. Then don't cry over the spilt milk. So these are all, they are not exactly conveying the real words, but they are conveying a figurative meaning.
Okay.
So that's what this is called an idiomatic expression. Nelson Mandela uses it. Let's see some more learners here. For your knowledge, I am just telling you, I should not be doing, but still I am doing.
Okay, sir, there is one question of the viewer.
Yes.
Sudhir, he is asking that, sir, is proverb and idiom is all same?
No, proverb comes from time tested something, and proverbs may have one-to-one meaning. For example, all that glitters is not gold. So we know that.
Yes.
Once you read, you understand it. So whichever glitters need not be gold.
Right.
But here, look at it. Look at this paper. Hard to swallow. So we don't know. It's not physical swallowing.
Yes.
His actions are hard to swallow. So unacceptable, difficult to believe.
Yes.
So that's what. So learners, Mr. Sudhir, no, Sudhir, Master Sudhir or Mr. Sudhir, the difference between a proverb and idiomatic expressions, the words may mean something else, but the actual meaning is different. So I said he kicked the bucket, kind of thing. I am not getting any other good idiom. Whereas proverbs are conveying the exactly thing. All that glitters is not gold. There are many such proverbs, and Indian languages have much richer proverbs. Learners, you can do a project of comparing Indian languages proverbs and English proverbs are equivalent. Look at it. Let us look at the paper here, learners. Hard to swallow. Learners, you will see hard to swallow is difficult to believe. It has nothing to do with actually swallow. Then digging, and in proverbs they actually the words may mean the same.
Okay.
Digging around. I am digging around for Silpa if I am unable to find.
Looking for more information.
Looking for more information.
Okay.
Or looking for someone also. Looking around people. For looking for people. He is really a bright spark. He is really a bright spark. He is an intelligent person.
Okay.
Okay. He kicked the bucket. I said that already. He died. She is hitting the books hard. That what? He is hitting the books.
Okay.
Then?
She is studying hard.
Hard. Okay. Follow someone's footsteps. It's not stalking or something else. Do something the way I would actually request, means advocate learners follow the footsteps of Nelson Mandela. Read and write. Nelson Mandela once said, no, education is the greatest weapon to fight against ignorance and this oppression. So learners, this is what idioms. Look at this idiom I have taken from grammarrevolution.com. It rained cats and dogs. Mumbai, it's raining cats and dogs. So it's not that dog and cats are
raining down from the clouds.
So this is what idiomatic expression, learners. What does, okay, suppose if you look at what do the idioms do? It makes the speaker to attract the listener or the reader, one. Second is you can drive home the point effectively.
Okay.
That's what good speakers. For example, last time we showed Martin Luther King's speech. So he was using the same, I have a dream, I have a dream. This is one of the ways to speak. And we know that famous speech of Swami Vivekananda in Chicago. He addressed the whole African Americans as brothers and sisters, which was strange to them. Then he says that my country has this. So he uses lot of phrases and idioms which actually made the speech effective. So learners, here are some more idioms for you. So let's try some of these. let me ask Shilpa to read.
Yes.
Yeah.
To walk someone through something. To show someone how to do something.
We make our younger sister or brother to walk him or her through something.
Yes.
So they learn through that.
Okay.
So this is not making them walk, in a kind of familiarizing or training them something.
Okay.
We need to come up with a road map. Learners, you are in class 10. You should actually come out with a road map for at least for another 5 to 10 years. So you plan your career studies. So
okay.
Next
one.
one.
So the next one is I wouldn't go down that road if I were you.
Okay.
That means I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Oh, I will not take that road if I were you. Look at the usage, learners. I were you, because I can never become you. So it's imaginary condition. If I were you, I would not do it. When you advise people, when someone asks, oh, if I were you, I would not accept this.
Okay.
So this kind of thing. I won't go down the road if I were you. Look at it. Then
don't run before you can walk.
Okay.
That means don't.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Don't try to do something difficult before mastering the basics.
So that's what today's studies and education also does. They make you run before you can walk. Okay, so much of things are bombarded on us, learners. So let's learn things clearly, basics, in order to move, and it's very essential for language learners. In order to become good users, let's read and understand the meaning and language.
Okay.
Then
so we are left with only 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yes.
Okay. I am going to. I stop it. Anyhow, I have come to the end of it. Learners, I am going to give you an activity which struck now only when I was discussing with you and Shilpa. Sorry for my bad handwriting. Nowadays we don't write, we only type on the computer. So I am going to request the learners to do an activity. See, I have learned something. When I have learned something, I also have to use it. But we have to use it with some caution. How I can foster peace. So we can. I am going to ask the learners, try writing a letter. Write a letter to Prime Minister of India and the President of China, Xi Jinping, and Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, for thanking them for the efforts to bring peace again between these two countries.
Yes.
We can never become enemies if we want to live in peace. Then also the need for peaceful coexistence. Learners, let me give some ideas. You can quote Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Nelson Mandela, Patel, any leader you want, or your own experience, how the world suffered during Second World War under colonization. Give any example and write a letter. You can address, dear Honorable Prime Minister of India and the President of China, I am so and so. Then you write why we need to foster peace. So you may chalk down your ideas. We have discussed in one of the writing lessons, Dr. Kirti Kapoor, and I also have done it. You gather ideas. What will you put into? You can explain the situation between in India from 1962. After 1962, we never fought a war. That's a great achievement between two countries. And all of a sudden, this happens. This can be resolved. So it's learners. You must be thinking how useful it is. But you must know that everyone's effort makes the country and the world peaceful. I will stop it there, Shilpa.
Yes.
Thank you very much for learners for having participated, and you also please read the lesson, do the activities, and there is a speaking activity. You do it. If any doubts, anything, you may please send a mail to me or the mail address Shilpa is saying. Thank you very much.
Yes. So today certainly we understood the language part of it, but we also understood with well determination and down to earth nature of the Nelson Mandela made us this world a better place for us, and how he fought with apartheid, that we also understood. And also he told in one of the speech which one of the videos sir has made us understand that the change starts from within us. That means we are the point of change. So thank you so much, Professor Meghnathan, for being with us.
Thank you, Shilpa, and thank you, learners.
Yes.
Learners, have some time to read Nelson Mandela's. You visit Nelson Mandela Foundation. Lot of audio, video, and this long walk to freedom is in audio.
Okay.
And also another information, this Long Walk to Freedom has been produced as a movie. You can watch it. I can't show it. It is 2 hours movie.
Okay.
Thank you very
Wonderful,
much.
sir.
Have a nice time, peaceful time.
Yes, and thank you so much viewers for participating in so actively, and in the next session we shall discuss about a physics topic, light for class 10th. So be with us, we will be back after a short while.